What's up? Dean here, Dean7904, joined today by former $1 million winner Bobby Gomes. Bobby, we got a 4-gamer, just the two of us, just an intimate show. Starting a little bit late, obviously, if you guys aren't aware, a couple reasons, kind of a short slate, just a 4-gamer. And then 7:30 tip-offs. We take it all the way up to Crunch Time free this year, if you guys aren't aware. Free this year, thanks to Fanduel. I'm not sure who's on the Crunch Time crew, to be honest. I thought I saw somebody different besides Andy in the picture, but was that a mistake? I don't know. Let me know, Devin. Feel free to let me know if who the Crunch Time crew happens to be today. I know Roth is back, and another $1 million winner, Andre, is joining the crew. Andre and Keith. I guess there's no Andy Means today. There you go. All right, Bobby, 4-gamer today. Plenty of time to knock it out. Apologies, chat, for being a few minutes late. A little bit of technical difficulties on my end, but as is, we're going to power on through. I don't think there's a lot of value today. I don't know where you're at as far as this. I always like to kind of look at the lineup HQ tool and just see. I'll sort by dollar for dollar who our best plays are, and our absolute best play. Have you done this yet, Bobby?
Yeah, no, I have.
Do you know? I mean, it's wild our best dollar for dollar play. It's typically, somebody who's 3K or 4K, maybe 5K, because that's just how math works.
It's easier.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's Draymond Green.
Okay, so maybe you got to hit refresh or I got to hit refresh. I got somebody different. Are you on FanDuel or you're on
I'm on FanDuel.
Okay.
Yeah. Whoa, Durant?
Yeah, because there's no – Kevin Durant, who's 10.2K, is currently our best dollar for dollar play, which is wild. Second best is his teammate, Kyrie Irving, which, again, wild. They're both good plays. They're both strong plays. They're playing the back half of back-to-back. They played a pile of minutes last night. And, of course, they lost their coach today, and they have an interim coach and another coach on layaway. I guess we can talk about that. Hold on. Is this – now I'm confused. Oh, you know what? I wasn't sorting correctly. Durant's second. Kyrie is like 7th or 8th. Vukovic is number 1. So, yeah. I couldn't figure out how to hit the sort button, unfortunately. Another guy who's 7.8K, by the way, and he's got that nut matchup against Brooklyn. Everybody against Brooklyn. Brooklyn is the worst defensive team in all of basketball. They are expected to have Levine tonight as well. But, this is a tough slate. I think it's a tough slate. It's hard to make lineups you like. You're going to have at least one player that you're sort of cringing at. At least that's where I'm at. You tell me. How do you feel about this 4-gamer?
I'm pretty much in the same boat as you. Like, seeing 3 OKC guys makes me kind of queasy, and that top optimal. I usually probably max 2 of those guys as of right now for me. But yeah, for a 4-gamer, it's kind of a difficult slate.
That may have changed. If you've done optimals, because I know we're predicting that Giddy's going to play now. Giddy just
I'm behind, unless my stuff's behind. I don't.
Yeah, so Giddy was just upgraded to questionable, not officially in, but if Giddy does play, like I see somebody in chat. What's up, Mr. Richard? Talking about Jalen Williams chalk, and I think it's going to be a domino effect of multiple players taking a hit, and that's the other thing, by the way. Yeah, I'm looking at. We do have 3 OKC guys in the optimal right now.
I don't think it's going to be Jalen Williams anymore, for what it's worth.
Well, it's weird. He's one of those guys that Gallagher talked him up a ton. And, and I drafted in one of my season-long leagues. I'm in a couple season-long leagues, one with Gallagher, the RotoGrinders League. And a lot of people were speculating on Jalen Williams being this guy. But OKC rotations are kind of tricky to figure out. And if Giddy comes back, he's going to hit everybody to various degrees. But it's still uncomfortable stuff. Like, we have Lou Dort at 5'6". Yeah, that's not a great play at 28 fantasy points. Kyle Lowry at 6'1", landing in an optimal. Are you excited about playing Kyle Lowry in 2022? If he's kind of sort of somewhat chalky. Royce O'Neal's another guy.
Lowry's been seeing a ton of minutes currently. So
yeah,
it's a 4-game slate. Like, we're not looking at it in the context of like a 12-game slate, right? So that Heat Golden State game, I think, is more in play than what it would be on a 12-game slate, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, everything has to get pushed up as far as priorities. 2 games at 7:30, then there's 1 game at 8, and then there's one kind of island game at 10 o'clock. That's Minnesota and Phoenix. It's a ESPN, it's a TNT doubleheader, I believe. TNT, a good timing by them, happens to be in Brooklyn tonight. The Bulls game, Bulls versus Brooklyn. Kind of surprising the Miami game. Miami Golden State didn't get the TNT treatment, but we'll see. And then there's the Magic and OKC at 8:00, and then Minnesota Phoenix. Man, it's and there's like as far as the body parts are monitoring, who's questionable, who's in, who's out. Players are getting upgraded as opposed to getting kicked out. So we're expecting Levine to play tonight and rest tomorrow. Again, Giddy got an upgrade to questionable. We'll see. Chicago, DeSumo's got a neck and a back. Don't finish the rest of that lyric if you know that one from back in the day. He's questionable. Jalen Suggs for Orlando is now in. I don't know if he's going to start. We're projecting him to start. Who's taking the hit? We're throwing Bull on the bench. That's kind of a bummer. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that lineup. But, several guys get hits there as well. For Brooklyn, Ben Simmons not going to play. They said yesterday, yesterday and probably going to play today. Obviously, it's not playing out that way. The Brooklyn guys, back half of back-to-back, they played a ton of minutes yesterday. I think Kyrie played 40. Durant played like 38 or so. It's hard to project for that many.
I think Royce is probably going to be you're taking out Ben Simmons, and he's at his tag. He's going to end up being the chalkiest outside of I know it's been Jalen Williams all day, but
yeah,
Royce is going to become that guy.
And he's terrible chalk, but like he's useful if he plays 35 minutes and he gets a couple of his blocks. He gets a couple
of chalk though. Look at the minutes. Like he hasn't played under 17 minutes like all season pretty much.
Well, he's terrible chalk in the sense that he's not a guy with a high ceiling. He's not a guy that's a good fantasy point minute player. He will be on the court a good bit. Like he's going to play 30-plus minutes barring something goofy. He's very useful to that team. They can use somebody that can give him some spacing. He can hit an open three, and he plays one of the few guys on that team that actually plays some defense. They're the worst defensive team in all of basketball this year so far. So they need him. He'll be out there. And
I think Jalen is probably worse chalk than Royce because you're taking Ben Simmons, the stocks out. Would just be. Were you talking about Royce or are you talking about Jalen?
I was talking about Royce there. Yeah, Jalen's not necessary to OKC. They'll play 12 guys like they want to.
What I'm saying is like that's why I think Jalen's probably worse chalk than Royce.
Yeah,
like
we'll see.
In the context of a 4-game slate, like I just take the minutes and actual. Like we don't even. Jalen's going to play, but like you said, they'll play 12 guys, so we have to be cognizant of that.
Yeah, and then there's going to be some other fringe players. Like I don't know if this changed throughout the day as far as Brooklyn. They were just kind of going to do the overview. Of course, we're going to go position by position. No, we're not. We're going to go game by game. But even like the Brooklyn guys, Yuta Watanabe is like playable. He's a terrible play, but he's playable. He's horribly uncomfortable. I shouldn't say it's a terrible play, but he's horribly uncomfortable. Rejecting 20 minutes for him. Joe Harris played the most minutes he's played the entire season, coming back from serious injury. Back half of back-to-back. He played 29 minutes last night. He did not play the first back-to-back this season. There was speculation / presumption that he's at least going to be like questionable going into this game. And I've seen nothing on that. So it's surprising. I guess he's going to play. I don't know if he's going to play 29 minutes. And then they have these fringe guys like Yuta Watanabe who closed yesterday instead of Claxton. I thought Claxton was going to close again. He was really fine. He was good. He got 31 minutes in still. But, in the absence of Simmons, I thought that opened the door. But no. Of course, now it's a new coach. So who knows what they're going to do. And it's just a bridge. They already have a coach on, coming in shortly. So maybe he just does with Jacques Vaughn, does the same thing. And Jacques Vaughn's been with the Nets for a while.
What do we have for Joe Harris ownership?
We got him for 27 minutes and 2.8% ownership. Like if that is the case, that doesn't line up in my opinion. That doesn't.
I would be over on like for the Jalen Williams at 3.9. They're both shooting at guard, small forward eligible. I'd be over on Harris if we get a clean bill of health for Harris. I know jump shooters on a back-to-back. You don't want to go there. It is a 4-game slate, right? So keep that in perspective again. I wouldn't mind playing Harris over Jalen Williams and probably just playing Jalen Williams at the field, if anything. Taking a shot there.
I mean, I feel like our stuff's going to adjust. We still have an hour plus until lock. Where do we have Jalen Williams as far as ownership? Because he likely, we'll see. We got him projected for 20.
We have him at 28.
28 fantasy, 20
points, 28% ownership. Yeah.
Which I think that's going to come down because when was the last time we did ownership? We did ownership at, let's see. Don't we have like a timestamp? I know we have a timestamp in regards to projections. Yeah, 550. Yeah, okay. So we haven't done ownership since we put Giddy in. So I think that's what's happening. We're projecting Giddy for 28 minutes, which is a little bit conservative by his standards, but also normally he'll play about 30, but he's been out, so maybe they kind of ease him back. Maybe he plays 24. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he doesn't play at all. But like generally speaking, I feel like midday upgrades, the questionable, like why even bother if he's not going to play? OKC has won 3 in a row, which is, I mean, it's so weird because they have some talent, but theoretically, management does not want them winning 3 games in a row. They're thinking long term.
Who's the guy from England everyone's after?
Oh, Wembanyama. Yeah, the guy's ridiculous.
Yeah.
What I've seen.
Seen like this meme from it's like I don't know, it was like just because of how like the pronunciation of his name is very difficult. So it was
we'll learn it fast. Like we all learn Giannis Antetokounmpo. You know what I mean? Like when you're good enough, eventually we'll get it. And then like I just I'm not an OKC fan, but like picturing OKC, I mean I'm sure you've seen this guy with the incredible length he has.
Yeah, I've seen him.
And then the length of Poku, and then the defense, SGA, just the pieces that and Giddy, and then the other guy, the guy that's out for the year from where did he play? Jeez, Gonzaga. I can't remember the guy's name. I don't watch college basketball. Like number 2 pick in the draft or whatever it was. They'll just be like a team from outer space, basically. The incredible length. They'll be a lot of fun to watch. Just as being an independent, just basketball viewer. If you could pick a landing spot for this dude from France, we'll see. We're a long way from that, obviously. I'm doing a refresh, by the way, as far as ownership stuff. But yeah, that has to come down for Williams, I think, as far as what we had before. Let's see. It's still at 28%, but that's got to change because we docked him some minutes down at 24, and I think he had like 28 or something like that because we're delegating. A lot of guys are taking like little hits there on the OKC side. Is there anything else worth talking about? Levine's expected to play. There's nothing that we're really waiting for. Like something could happen as always. It's the association, but I feel like we got most of the news that we were anticipating. Suggs is in for Orlando, if I didn't mention that. Minnesota's waiting on a couple guys that don't really matter. Kyle Anderson, Slow-Mo, Jordan McLaughlin, they're both questionable. No big deal. Torrey Craig, incrementally. If he doesn't play, they may dust off Dario Saric. Like he won't play meaningful minutes. I don't think. I can't imagine he hasn't played in over a year. It is a revenge game for him, though. But, yeah, that's where we're at right now, unless something weird happens. And, of course, Giddy can still not play. We've seen OKC do the hokey pokey with some of these players, but otherwise, I got nothing else in regards to the overview. Unless you do, you want to just go game by game?
No, we could hop in game by game.
Let's do it. All right. Very first game of the slate. Again, 2 games. 50% of the slate starts at 7:30. That's Golden State at my Miami Heat. 225.5 is the total. Miami is a 1-point favorite here, and it's just weird because I think this is going to be like kind of the evaluation in the entire show, at least from my perspective, because I don't love anything. It's like different degrees of things I feel kind of meh about. I don't really know how to attack this slate. It's like, typically I have a plan. I don't have a good plan tonight. Maybe I'll figure it out organically on the show. But typically Golden State versus Miami is a game that's more fun to watch just because it's fun basketball as opposed to great for DFS. But, and Golden State especially, they're the epitome of that. Like, they have a lot of pieces. They don't really push their stars too much. Their stars are kind of priced where they should be. Draymond's always a tick too cheap. Of course, he's got some volatility. You're relying on stocks. He's not going to score like 15 points, but he gets there other ways. I'll throw it to you first as far as Golden State. And like Steph is almost always one of those superstars, just a little bit too overpriced. And that's being shown in the ownership again tonight. Doesn't mean he can't hit 7 threes. He certainly can. Miami is a team that yields threes. 3-point funnel, if you want to say that. But, start with the Warriors. What's jumping out for you?
Yeah, Steph Curry's like always in someone I'm like looking at in terms of tournaments, but like my favorite play would probably be Draymond, and then there's really not much. Like you could play Klay Thompson at 5'5", he's fine. But outside of that, like, I don't know, taking shots on Clay and Steph are pretty much the only ways I want to go. And then Draymond, because it's a 4-game slate, like he could get a triple double, and then you probably need that at that point. So they aren't really plays I want to get to. I kind of like the Heat side a little bit better, but they're just typical like Golden State Warriors every night, night in, night out, DFS NBA pretty much for me. I just don't love them, don't hate them. They are what they are.
Thank you, Chet. Chet Holmgren, that's the name I couldn't think of. I don't know why. I never remember that guy's name. But that's the dude that's out for the entire year for OKC. And when they come back next year, they'll be much more interesting. Let's take a peek as far as what we have as far as the ownership in this game. Specifically, I'm on DK. I'll jump to Fanduel in a second as well. The most popular play on DK right now is Max Strus. And Max Strus, the deal with Max Strus, you're just hoping for 3-point variance to be on your side. 24% ownership. And again, he's kind of sort of like a salary saver, not fully because he's more expensive than he typically is. He's over 5'1". Bam Adebayo's kind of had an up and down season. It feels a little more down than up, but I do believe his best game this year was against these Warriors. And the price is still pretty good theoretically. There's a 50 burger in there, 7.4K on DK. We're looking at 22% ownership. Then Wiggins at 6'9". It's fine.
I don't mind going back to Bam. I feel like Bam's kind of turned it around from what we've seen throughout the first couple games, like basically stepping into I thought he'd kind of turn it around. I feel like he has. He's had a good matchup versus Golden State already. So going back to him, I know a lot of people are going to play Vucevic, but maybe undercutting Vucevic with Bam is a play that you can go to on the slate. Like I said, it's a 4-gamer, so don't mind Bam. I know you're probably off him.
No, he's probably my favorite player in Miami will be Bam. Especially. Yeah,
no Lowry.
I'm apprehensive on Lowry. It's just, I didn't want to pay for him, and he was like 5K. now he's 6K, and like I guess again, it just like you say, it's the nature of the slate, and you can't just sit there and say you don't like this and you don't like that. Eventually, you got to fill out a lineup.
The minute's really good for Lowry. 36, 33, 26, 36, 37.
Yeah.
In a boatload.
Yeah, he's been solid. He's been solid. So maybe I should reconsider that. And I was running some optimal stuff and like locking some players in and seeing what gets shuffled in around him. And Lowry was the guy that kept landing there. And I was like, ugh. And begrudgingly, I'm like, yeah, I guess, maybe, I suppose. By the way, DeSumo officially in for Chicago. Kobe White still a game time decision. If he plays or if he's available, pretty cluttered there in the backfield for Chicago, backcourt. And Josh Giddy, as speculated, officially, well, as of now, he's available to play. So, there goes a hit on some of the OKC Thunder stuff. I wonder if he'll start. I presume he'll start, but we'll see. Stay tuned on that. So I'm going to jump over to what we have on FanDuel as far as ownership.
We got a question real quick about the Giddy coming in. Is that going to reduce the minute floor of Jalen Williams?
I assume so. I think we already predicted that. And I think, again, I don't remember what it was earlier today, but I think Jalen Williams was predicted for like 25 or 26 minutes. And now we have him for, 24, right? There's just fragility to OKC. I'm counting them up. We must have like 11 or 12 guys projected for minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We got 11 Thunder players projected for minutes. And like the only ones that are theoretically safe are SGA and Dort. And then they've even said in the beginning of the year, talking about how they're going to change their starting lineup always. They've changed their starting lineup, at halftime. Maybe it's a hot hand stuff. It's just a team you can't trust. It doesn't mean Williams can't get there. It's just now the path is a little bit trickier. But again, nature of the slate is there's not a lot good at all as far as guys that are under 5K. And, several players in OKC, I think, are hurt by Giddy being in. And Giddy basically fully priced. Like, I don't really think he's very playable at 7.3 on DK. What is he on FanDuel? 7.3 on FanDuel as well. I like him. And he was amazing. Like when SGA was out, he was dropping triple doubles as well. But both of them kind of eat at each other a little bit. Doesn't mean you can't play them. SGA more so. I'd rather be on. But let's jump back to Miami Golden State. The most popular guy on FanDuel, Bobby, is Caleb Martin. And again, this is because he's pretty cheap and he's going to play some minutes. They'll play close to 30, 27 to 31, something like that. He's cheap. He's 4-5. He's not special, but he's fine. And he'll be on the court. I'll be excited about Caleb Martin. Bam is a 25%. Draymond, 25%. You get 3 points of those stocks over there.
Yeah, for FanDuel, I have no issue with that. Just with the tag on him, like he's at what's he at 4-5? Yeah, I don't mind it. Like he's gonna hit optimals. I think he's in our optimal. So yeah, I don't mind Caleb Martin. I don't love it, but it's a 4-gamer. So what are you gonna do?
Do you think? I think one of my strategies, with nothing really popping as great, it's like just different degrees of like meh, and that's okay, I guess. I feel like I'm going to stress, and short slate, you just catch the right game. Like I think I'm open to like playing like, depending on the game, obviously, depending on how salary stuff works. Like I'll make stacks and like on a 10-game slate, 11-game slate, like a 2-1 or a 2-2. But I think I will expand beyond that to maybe 5 or possibly 6 players in one game. What do you think of that?
Yeah, and then if you catch overtime, you're climbing leaderboards at that point, right? Like that's what I don't mind on a 4-game slate. I think that's a really good strategy.
I think that's something I'm gonna try to force. Looks like White was officially ruled out, at least according to our chat. Just want to confirm that via the Twitter. I don't know how much that matters. Probably not a lot. With Chicago getting, what do we have projected for him? Yeah, 20 minutes. Goran Dragic might get a few more. They didn't. We'll talk about that game soon enough, but they didn't run a center last game, which Vuk played the most minutes. I think he played the entire season. I want to say he played 36. You mentioned them already. I love Vuk. The tricky part of this game is like if you're going to stack it is, especially the Brooklyn side, like the pieces you want obviously are really expensive. Little easier to stack, I think, on FanDuel with those expensive guys. Harder to do on DK, at least when I was messing around with that thought process before the show.
I feel like you really want to get overweight on Vucevic.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. And what's interesting is I wonder what optimals are doing, because the Phoenix thing, with Ayton being out for Phoenix, we saw Bismack Biyombo draw the start, but like Jock Landale's also behind him, and they're both like pretty good projected players. I think Bismack's the guy that like is pretty well projected, but the price is already bumped up enough where it's not like Lock City. And then there's, Claxton, who I think looks pretty good for Brooklyn as well. Are people just going to spend down at center, or are they going to make Vucevic one of their big spends? Like, I'm just curious how that works, because it is possible. Well, there's Cat as well. There's Gobert. There's other routes. But as far as the big spends at center, and I know we're kind of jumping around as far as games.
I think prior to the Giddy news, just because Jalen Williams is probably more secure, Vucevic probably hitting more optimals at that point, but he's still a great play on the slate. Like his ownership might come down a tad, but I doubt it's going to come down to where it's going to affect me playing. Like I'm still going to try to get it as overweight as possible.
And are you going to put in a rule? What are you doing tonight? You're making like a MMA and you're making a bunch of lineups?
I'm probably just playing one team tonight.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Would you force back at least one of Kyrie and Durant if you're playing Vuk?
Yeah. And I'd prefer Kyrie for what it's worth, if that was the case.
Why?
Just because like on 4-game slates, like I've had success. Like I think the last time I was on, Kyrie went off on a 4-gamer. I think it was last Thursday. 9-7, you're saving 500. I don't know, maybe like I just think it's a good tag for, and Kyrie's just usually my preference when it becomes KD and Kyrie, because for whatever reason I feel like most people will go to KD in that situation because opportunity costs on DK at the guard positions usually pretty heavy. So I don't know. I just take Kyrie.
So when I was messing with lineups before the show, and the reason why I asked, and like this is FanDuel specific. This wasn't DK. I was doing FanDuel lineups first. I'll do DK after the show, and of course I'll tinker back. after the news breaks, but point guard is bad on FanDuel, like dollar for dollar, specific to the position. You got to roster 2. And that's one of the reasons why I was getting so much Lowry. And then it's because point guard's not that great. And like, it's not that the small forwards and power forwards are spectacular, but like the pivots away from Durant, dollar for dollar, salary wise, are better than the options pivot away from Kyrie on FanDuel. Therefore, Kyrie became the better play than Durant. That makes sense. That's sort of what I was discovering.
I like Lowry more than you, so I feel like Kevin Durant would probably be more in play for me over on FD.
Let's run some optimals. Let's see. We got time. We're just having like an overarching conversation.
You could play Lowry, Paul on FD, and then get KD in a power forward somewhere. I feel like he just fits the scoring better.
I think Chris Paul was landing in like most everything I was doing on FanDuel. He's kind of priced down there. Pretty good price there. And let's see, I ran 111 optimals. I capped it at no more than 73%. Don't ask me why I picked that number, but that's what I did. And the most popular play on FanDuel right now is Chris Paul. I added a little bit of like variance as well too. Chris Paul, 67%, Green at 60, Levine at 59. They say Levine's going to play tonight and rest tomorrow. And also the matchup against Brooklyn is awesome. So, and he's priced down. So I like him a good bit on FanDuel. And then Mikal Bridges, who's plays a lot of minutes, plays every single game. But he's not my favorite play to have at like 60%. Caleb Martin, DeMar DeRozan, again, ditto, love DeRozan. Would prefer Levine was out, but still, just I like all the guys against Brooklyn because of that game environment. And then there's Royce O'Neal. Where's oh, you know what? I think I boosted Lowry's fantasy points down. I think that's what I did, and that's why he's not showing up. Yeah, I gave him an artificial downgrade, but he probably would pop it in a few more.
It's funny. Our stuff likes Irving. I feel like better on FD and KD on DK. I'm in disagreement with that.
I think it's just a lineup construction thing. Like you just think that Irving's going to outscore him, and that's that.
Yeah, I think I would rather Irving as a run back on DK.
Give me we're talking about, Golden State and Miami. We didn't mention Jimmy Butler. We should mention him, right?
He had 6 steals. For me, like Butler, I always kind of, this year for what I just play Bam. You know what I mean? I'm not really interested in getting too much Jimmy Butler. We have a lot of like small forward, power forward value, not like a lot, but that's where the value is on the slate, right? So no Jimmy Butler for me.
He put up 62 FanDuel points against Golden State last time, but that was, 6 steals. That's probably not that's not going to be duplicated.
I guess I was talking in terms of DK. I guess on FanDuel you could play him for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an outlier game, but the minutes have been there. We'll give him that. Back-to-back, 37-37 as far as the minutes. If you want to play the narrative of like, I feel 82 games a year, right? I feel like a home game against Golden State, you get up more for than you're more into that game than you are into like Wednesday night in Sacramento. But that's just, I mean, I don't know that there's no way to quantify that, but just my brain thinks that. Like, and maybe he gets an extra minute or two for that reason as well. Just feels like a bigger game. None of the games really matter in the NBA, right? Regular season. But is that dumb that I'm saying that? I don't know. It's just something I think in my head.
On FD, I would play Butler. On DK, I have no interest.
Take a peek what's going on in the chat. Let's see. We'll talk about OKC in a second, but Michael's got a question about OKC. DK tournaments with both Giddy and SGA playing, would you do something like set a rule to only play exactly one player from OKC if you're playing SGA? Or is that too conservative? Would you play anybody with SGA if you're playing SGA? Like, who's going to run with him? You need to.
I feel like you could play like Dort with him. Why not? Jalen Williams is fine too. It would be max 2 of that whole team for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily like lock the door on it on a 4-gamer. I don't like to. Yeah. I try not to make too many restricting rules. This is a general thought. Like even like on showdown slates, I know people like put up rules with certain run backs, and I want a 5-1, and I don't necessarily love that stuff. I like to open up the door for possible goofiness and variance. But yeah, they're going to run a lot of guys as they always do, and most of them are not going to be very useful. I saw somebody in chat saying, did I miss that comment about Wendell Carter? Somebody was talking about Wendell Carter. There you go. According to Keelan, he's got an inside source and told him to play Wendell Carter. He could crush tonight.
I think that's a good call on Wendell Carter. For what
Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, I'm fine with him too. I don't. But how many witnesses do we have on that source? We need multiple. How many witnesses do we need to confirm that source is legit? 30 witnesses? What's the official number?
We need a couple witnesses. We need verifiable witnesses. But I think he's on the right track with Carter having a good game tonight.
Yeah. Lake Show in the chat saying, "Go Lakers! We're going to win the NBA Finals this year." Okay. Somebody's got the almanac or the. I don't know. They're on the wrong page of the almanac. That ain't happening at Lake Show. I'm sorry. You had your run, but it's over. It's unfortunate. But what is the scenario where the Lakers win the NBA title? Like, paint me the picture. How does it happen?
I have no idea. Like, AD has to turn it around. Russell Westbrook has to be Russell Westbrook of 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's tough. They have no shooting in a league where you need shooting. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, you think the GM would know that? I don't know. Just such a poorly constructed.
Who's the GM is the question. That's the biggest.
What's
question.
The guy's name? Is it Kupchak? Mitch Kupchak? Is it the guy's name? I don't know.
I think it's LeBron. LeBron's bringing all these guys in. He's singing his own ship.
Well, I mean, LeBron wants he's always touting up guys like he likes Anthony Simons.
He went out and got Russ. Why are you going out and if you know anything about basketball, you're not going out of your way to get Westbrook on your team.
Is he his buddy? I know Carmelo's his buddy. I don't know if Russ is his buddy. Suggs is playing off the bench, by the way. Franz Wagner, Ross, Banchero, Carter, and Bull is still starting. So T. Ross is still in there. Bull is still in there. It's the same starting lineup, and we'll see Suggs come off the bench.
That's actually good for the starters, right? Suggs is more ball dominant. I feel like it makes me like Banchero, Carter, Franz a little bit more than I did when I thought Suggs was starting, and Bull for that matter.
I wonder how they'll close.
I thought Bull was going to kick back to the bench, but
I thought so too. But I love that he's listed. Last I saw, he was listed as a small forward, and he's just like 7'3".
Yeah.
Is that all he is? A 7'3"? I feel like he's taller than
7'4". Yeah, I don't know. He's a big dude now. Is he 7? He's over 7 feet, right?
I think he's I feel like he's 7'4", 7. Maybe he is 7'3", officially. 7'2".
Do you know his age? What's his age?
22.
He's a young guy.
Yeah. His dad played. I don't know if you'll remember.
Manute.
Yeah. He played for the Washington and for Miami, and he would chuck threes back in the day when it was big men didn't chuck threes.
He was that's interesting. I didn't know that about Manute.
Say it again.
I didn't know he was a 3-point shooter. Not many bigs back when they were shooting them, like you said. So
well, he wasn't he didn't play a lot, but when he got out there, a lot of times they got out there and the game was out of hand, So the crowd would just egg him on. He was a capable 3-point shooter for a big man back in the day.
Who's the guy playing in China now? I saw highlights the other day. 99. He was on the Celtics. What was his name?
Oh, you're thinking of Taco Fall from UCF.
Taco Fall, yeah, UCF guy.
Yeah. Shout out UCF.
That's your alma mater, right?
Yeah. The Taco Fall and Michael Jordan's kids. Both Michael.
He was dominating in China in the highlights I saw.
Well,
they're all like.
I wonder how much he's getting paid over there. But yeah, he's smashing.
He's still number 99, keeping it going.
Yeah, maybe we'll see him back in the NBA one of these days. Yeah, but he was fun on Boston when he, a cup of coffee.
Yeah, when he came in, the Garden would go crazy.
Let's talk specifically. I know we've kind of talked about the slate as a whole. Obviously when the next guys come in, the crunch time guys, they're going to knock everything out. They're going to go position by position, give you fair plays, for cash, for tournaments, do all the good stuff, answer all your questions. Do their best to answer their questions in chat. That's the YouTube chat. But, of course, priority goes to the Discord, premium Discord channel. Fire your questions in there first. and then they'll do their best to knock out the questions. That's where Roth goes first, and then he'll go to YouTube. Hey, if you guys are on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. We appreciate all that as well. Let's talk about the other game at 7:30. We talked about Miami. Now let's mention the Bulls. The Bulls are playing Brooklyn. 232 is the total. Brooklyn is a 2-point favorite. Again, it's high and it's tight. Brooklyn has a hard time blowing anybody out because they are so inept defensively. Worst defensive team in the league. I think that's still the case. Let me just go ahead and confirm as far as defensive rating. Oh, the Grizzlies barely got them, just barely, but Brooklyn's the second worst. They yield a bunch of three-pointers as well. Actually, you throw Indiana out, and this is the top two teams as far as giving up three-pointers, Brooklyn and Chicago this season. So should be a three-point bomb fest once again. If Joe Harris draws the start, I think he's usable, but I'm also concerned because he is fragile, and he played the most minutes he's played all season long by a good bit, and it's a back-to-back. I don't know. I don't know if he plays 29 minutes, but maybe he plays 25. He still could be useful because value's so thin. But you already touched on it. You said you like Irving more than you like Durant. We talked about Vuk as well. We've kind of already talked about this game, but feel free to give a little refresher. If somebody just jumped in the show by 5 minutes ago, start with the Bulls. Tell the people what you like.
Yeah, we kind of went through it, but Vucevic would probably be my favorite play on the slate. Zach LaVine, I think, is firmly in play. On the other side, like Royce O'Neal's chalk. Kevin Durant, Irving, they're obviously good run backs. It's a 4-game slate, so running it back, trying to hit overtime. Like you were saying, just stacking up one of these games is pretty interesting. I like Joe Harris. I know you're not on board, but I don't mind getting some Joe Harris.
I like him. I'm just concerned. I'm concerned about those minutes. If he starts, I'll feel a lot better about it. If he's coming off the bench, I'll be very nervous.
Yeah, Pat Williams
for nothing.
Pat Williams at 3.5. Who Kobe White got ruled out, so maybe that I don't know if that would extend extra minutes to Pat, but I like Pat Williams a little bit at that tag on DK. And that's pretty much it. Outside of, you can make a case for Claxton. We kind of talked about U2 earlier on. I think U2 is kind of a tough play, but
Watanabe?
Yeah, Watanabe, but they're going to need him to deal with Vooch, and Claxton can get handsy. Just as many bigs as possible, I guess. It's a 4-gamer. That's why he's shown up.
I've seen Edmund Sumner landing in some optimals just because he's like so cheap, and his floor is like 3. But I've seen him like land in some stuff just because of how thin we are as far as value plays. Can't feel good about that. But
yeah, 3-2. I'm not playing any Edmund Sumner.
Yeah, Daron Sharp, if he ever gets any run, I think we saw him get run earlier in the year. We haven't seen it in a while. New coach. So that's another unpredictable. Maybe he just runs whatever.
Watanabe might not be the worst play here for what it's worth, just because of the slate. It's obviously terrible, but
yeah,
at 3-1, I think I'd prefer him over Sumner and Sharp.
So everything is slate dependent. If you told me I was getting 15 fantasy points on DK, Fanduel, no. But 15 points on DK for Yuta Watanabe, no more, no less. I think I would take that pre-flop. I think I'm taking it.
I'm with you. I think you pretty much. I would not be going to Sumner. I think U2 is fine.
And to be clear, 15 is not in any way guaranteed. The minutes are kind of thin, and he's not a high usage guy, and he's not a good fantasy point per minute guy. And certainly when you're playing alongside Kyrie and Durant, the shots are few and far between. He's capable. He's a capable shooter. But we'll see. We did see him close yesterday. But there's just – it's hard. Maybe Markieff Morris. We got Markieff Morris projected for 10 minutes. I have no clue.
Yeah.
But Royce O'Neal is the other one that feels like you're going to get 35 minutes out of him. 3-and-D guy. Gets 0.7 fantasy points.
I like Royce so much better than the OKC. He just seems like such a safer play. And you're taking Simmons out. He's going to do a lot of what Simmons does, right? He's 4'8". I think Royce is actually a very good chalk.
So Sam is saying Joe Harris is starting. Sam in chat, but I don't see that anywhere. Do you have a source, Sam? Maybe I'm just missing it. And he's probably projected to start, but is he officially starting? Because I do not see that.
Did we bring Jalen Williams' ownership down? I think that's something to talk about.
I assume we have. If we've done an ownership, let's hit the refresh on that. I mean, I would think you would have to.
I think all of these guys are better plays than Jalen Williams at this point.
We brought his ownership down to no, it's still 28%, but his projection went down. So maybe the ownership stuff's coming later. There has not been a ownership tinkering since before 6 o'clock. So I'm sure they're going to run that again. I presume they'll run that again, and then it'll take a hit. I'm guessing because
Harris and Royce are better plays than Jalen.
Oh, Sam, you're killing me in chat. Fanduel says he's starting. Fanduel's news is like a day old half the time. I appreciate you trying to help. But
wait, so Joe Harris isn't starting now, or is he?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's been said. But like when Fanduel or it says like they're officially in, that's not necessarily true. And that's when it comes to the sources.
This underdog NBA notifications on Twitter. It's probably the way to go.
Yeah. RotoGrinders has one too.
RotoGrinders.
We're like 15 seconds behind that one, it seems like every time. But yeah, turn on your notifications. And that's where I'm looking at both those places and I don't see it. And I'm not going to trust what FanDuel says. Again, he still might end up starting. But no problem, Sam. I didn't mean to make it sound like I was yelling. I wasn't yelling there, was I? I was just having a little fun. As far as Brooklyn and Chicago, just kind of clean it up. You said you prefer Vuk before you prefer DeRozan and before you prefer Levine as far as the big three?
Tino, we went over this like 4 times. Vooch is my guy tonight. Vuk's the guy.
All right.
Yeah.
I wanted to be reiterated. I want the people to know, like when Vooch has put up a 70 burger tonight, I want them to be at you and like this is the reason why.
Vooch is the play. We're just playing Vooch. Levine's definitely in play too. Don't get me wrong. I think Levine's firmly in play in tournaments. And the run backs in this game, Durant and Irving, however you're going to make this work, you might need you two. This is why we keep insinuating that you two might be in play at 3-1. You might need him because if you want to run this game back, you're going to need that value, and it's tough to get. You can go to Jay. I'd rather just play you two other than Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams is going to be able to play you two.
Lake Show is just cracking me up, spamming the chat with all his pro Lakers paraphernalia.
LeBron's better than the best player ever. Of course, he's better than Larry Bird.
Like LeBron better than like anyone. It doesn't matter. But Michael Jordan,
I hate LeBron too. Like, absolutely can't stand him. But he's better than he's the best.
I appreciate you can say that. Even though if you don't, whatever reason you don't like the guy, I appreciate you can still say he's still the best.
You have to be able to do that. You can't be just because you don't like a guy. You can't. Oh, he sucks. Like he's LeBron James. He's dominating the league for. I don't know. I guess Jordan did too, but LeBron's like 6'10", 260. Jordan's 6'6".
Jordan played against like plumbers too.
He played against like Danny Ainge. He's like a lawyer.
Like Luke Longley was an NBA champion.
There's that like meme video on YouTube about like Jordan going against the Celtics team. Like all Danny Ainge, Larry Bird, Havlicek, and he's just like schooling all of them.
Well, he didn't play Havlicek.
They're very good.
Like the 50s.
Oh, Havlicek was in the 50s. I don't know. They're just all old. I'm just thinking like old Celtics players.
Yeah. I got you. All right. Is there anything else that we should have mentioned? Now we're getting the chat fired up. The people hate LeBron. You know, LeBron,
like Jordan's the best.
He's 6-0. You know, he only played 6 years. He never lost in the playoffs. Your official record only counts when you're in the finals. When you get knocked out in the semis, doesn't count. Isn't that amazing? All right. And you're getting me started. The chat's winding me up, and we don't have time for such nonsense. We did earlier, but now we don't, unfortunately. LeBron's, by the way, has been in the league. He's been playing NBA basketball for more days in his life than he has not been playing NBA basketball. Isn't that wild?
So I think
that's true.
Yeah, so LeBron, they did like the rookie year thing. They came to like Boston and did like UMass Boston, and they had like however how they do the Vegas runs now. I saw that up close, and I was like walking like to get a drink or something, and I was passing by and he threw like this no look pass, and I'll never forget it. Just absolute stud, LeBron.
At 18.
Yeah, at 18. It was like 2003. It's a very long time ago.
Yeah, he's year 18 or year 19 for LeBron. Yeah, he didn't take years off, for the record, by the way, just playing straight through. Multiple Olympic years, too. 217 is the total for Orlando and OKC. Not a very high number, and OKC is basically fully healthy there with the Giddy being ruled in. SGA still really playable, but he's going to cost you, obviously. Orlando is they got Suggs back, so they actually have a point guard, but they're not starting a point guard. Bancaro, and disappointment from Franz Wagner. I thought he'd be playing better under the circumstances the last couple of games, but a lot of that is just sort of like his shot wasn't going in more than anything. He's been off. But Suggs eats him a little bit, but not starting. I assume his minutes are suppressed to some degree.
Suggs not starting has to help all those guys, like we already kind of touched on.
So who are you prioritizing on Orlando first?
Yeah, probably be Paolo. Wendell Carter's right there. I know we already had the tip on Wendell Carter that he's the play tonight. I think they're both in play. Franz Wagner, I was worried about with Suggs starting because I feel like Suggs being more ball dominant, Wagner's kind of taking that role on. He hasn't been the greatest in it, but if Suggs had started, I thought that it would take the ball out of his hands, so it just would be bad for him for NBA DFS. I think he's kind of in play. If I had to rank them, I think Paolo, Wendell, and then Wagner. Where's Bull?
I mean, he's hurt by Suggs being there, and there's no guarantee Bull closes.
Yeah.
I think he's interesting for tournaments just because, there's not a lot of good math plays just in general on this slate, But certainly he can get going. It's possible.
He'd definitely be like the fourth behind Paolo, Wendell, and Franz for me.
I think that's where I'm at as well. But I mean, if I was hypothetically running 100, I'm not, or 150, I'm not. I would not just X him out. We still have that Jalen Williams big number as far as ownership, and as we both think, that's too high, and that's probably going to come down. Poku's another guy. Again, it's just they might all just play 24 minutes, right? When I say they all, talking about.
I think max 2 OKC is the right rule to set.
I like that rule. Yeah. And then there's a bunch of guys that might play 20 or 15 with Muscala and JRE and Trey Mann and Wiggins. It's just their rotations are a mess. It's hot hand stuff. And don't forget about Baisley, and you got to let Ken Rich Williams get some run as well. It's really tricky, amongst the teams as far as projecting minutes. OKC, certainly on the Family Feud board, is the most difficult to figure out. And now with all the pieces there, makes it even dicier. Anything else before we move on and talk about the Hammer game? It's later in the slate, obviously. We got a 2-hour break after the third game in Orlando and OKC. Then we got Minnesota and Phoenix. You got anything else here as far as the third game? You want to talk about Minnesota and Phoenix?
Do you want to just rank the OKC guys that you like for the bet, just everyone on OKC?
I mean, I like SGA, but if I have one spend today, is it going to be SGA? Probably not. Yeah. So I'm probably not going to have on OKC.
Yeah.
That's sort of where I'm at. Can you throw a dart at Poku? Can you throw a dart still at Jalen Williams? Yeah. Dort, his minutes should be safe. Giddy probably doesn't get 30 minutes. We'll see. And again, with SGA out there, most of the time when he's out there, his ceiling is somewhat hit, and you're paying full price for him as well. I mean, I would say my favorite player is SGA, but I still don't know if I'm getting there. Is kind of where I'm at, and I
with Giddy being there, I think that's the right decision.
Yeah. Which makes me think this is one of my least favorite, stacks. And also it's got the lowest total, and OKC's got their pie is getting cut up in all sorts of funky pieces. All right. Minnesota and Phoenix. All by itself. Iowa game. Second half of that TNT doubleheader. 227 is the total. Phoenix is a 4-point favorite. Again, no Ayton in this game. Bismack Biyombo, I presume, is going to draw the start. I think it's a revenge game for him. Didn't he play for Minnesota? I feel like he rode the bench for them. for a little bit.
He's played for like every team there is, right?
He's very vengeful. Yeah, he's got. Yeah. It's a good point. I feel like he's been on at least 5. Charlotte, that's probably when he was best. I think on the Hornets. I feel like top of the head, but basically 48 minutes are going to be split between Biyombo and the backup and the Australian. What's his name? Jesus.
Landale. Jock.
Yeah, Jock Landale. Sounds like a character on like Anchorman or something like that. But the last minute or two, because it was kind of a blowout, none of them were on the court, but otherwise they split the 48. You need big boys against Minnesota, obviously. Minnesota was really big with Gobert and Cat. So they're going to need these guys. Do you have a preference amongst Biyombo and Landale? And Landale, like both these guys are pretty good fantasy players. The minutes, we'll see. I mean, what are we expecting? Are we chopping it like 24? We got 26 for Biyombo and 22 for Landale. Wouldn't shock me if that flipped, for the record.
I think it's Landale for me. I just think there's more ceiling. 4-game slate. I think I'd probably prefer Landale.
Clap in chat says Landale lock and loaded. Yeah, I like Landale too. We talked about Chris Paul.
Lock and loaded. There you go.
I mean, to me that sounds like lock button, and I'm not locking.
He might be playing one team though.
Well, yeah, but then when you're saying lock button, that's disingenuous. Yeah. Everybody in your team is a lock.
He's not thinking he might not be thinking in the context of 150.
I don't have a lot of Minnesota right now. Everybody's just sort of fine. I'm not here to say that Edwards is bad.
Do we ever have they're so hard? It's so hard to parse between who's the guy in Minnesota, like Ann Edwards, D'Angelo, Cat, Gobert now. Maybe
I played some Gobert like when they were good rebounding matchups. Like I had him in the 2020 night, but I think he's sort of fine, and I'm probably not getting there tonight. But I'm not here to discourage it. Like you could play some Cat if you want to. He's fine, but I'm probably not.
Jaden McDaniels love.
Jaden McDaniels. Oh man,
it's a 4-gamer. Like this is what we're talking about here, right?
Oof. You're talking about Jordan? Hold on. Who are we talking about now? Oh, Jaden McDaniels. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
4-7.
We're predicting 30 minutes out of him, which is that?
That's what I'm saying.
That's a lot of minutes. He's not a good fantasy player.
A lot of minutes for a 4-game slate, like a guy under 5K.
So our guy in chat, Keelan, he's got. I don't know if he has connections with when it comes to Minnesota as well.
Is this the Wendell Carter guy?
Yeah. He's got Wendell Carter, and he's got connections all over. So I mean, yeah, just box those two, exacta box Towns and Carter, and then just lock those guys in, hit the optimizer, and see what lineup you like with those two. I like Towns too, but like if he puts up 47 points, is that useful? It's not going to hurt you necessarily, but does that win it for you? That's kind of where I'm at. Like I think he's fine. He probably doesn't hurt your lineup necessarily, but I don't know if he helps it. Do you have a preference amongst Paul and Booker?
Towns would be my favorite for what it's worth. In terms of Paul and Booker, it'd probably be Booker. I like both though on DK. I think Booker and Paul are very good plays tonight.
My issue with Towns is
hit on Paul's going to be very choppy.
Yeah, I like center. Like that's one of my favorite positions today, and that's why I'm not prioritizing Cat. Like I like Vuk. I'm good with Draymond. I think you can play him forward some places, right? I like Bam. We talked about Wendell Carter. I like the Phoenix guys, like Landale and Bismack. I think are both in play. I like Claxton. So it's one of my favorite positions. Is sort of the problem. That's why I'm probably not getting the Cat. I can't prioritize him.
I would probably go to Cat over the Phoenix guys. I know it's a different in terms of price, but if I'm ranking them,
yeah,
it's Vooch, it's Bam, it's Wendell Carter, and then it's Cat, and then the Phoenix guys. I think you got it the other way.
Crunch time guys are coming in shortly. I see some questions here in chat. I'll ask you. Don Yeezy wants to know, DK, you got Bull or Lou Dort or Cam? Who's Cam? Is that Cameron Johnson?
Bull or Cam Johnson probably.
I assume So or it's not campaign, right? Yeah, it's got to be Cam Johnson, Bull or Dort.
I think it's Dort by a long shot.
Giddy or Levine on DraftKings. I would play Levine. I mean, that matchup against
Levine is a very strong play tonight.
Yeah, first game back for Giddy. I know Levine's dealing with this whatever, but like I think it's already been reported that he's not going to be playing tomorrow, so I assume his minutes are mostly safe. This is just kind of what we're dealing with as far as the nature of the slate. We got Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. Kevin Roth back from trick-or-treating. I saw you tweeting about it last night. Your daughter failed you. She did not pick. She chose poorly.
Oh, just brutal. I mean, we had the full Reese's. We had the full Kit Kat. We had the Twix, and she just went with a lollipop, a single lollipop from all that. Thankfully, the people were kind enough to just – because I was like, oh, don't you think you should get the Reese's? The Reese's look so good. So the people like took pity on me and gave me the candy. I was like, that's a good job. Thanks.
Hey, fun fact. I don't know if it's fun. It's up to you to say if it is or is not. Do you know Reese's? There's no ownership in Canada. In Canada, it's called Reese. There's no apostrophe S.
What?
In Canada, Reese's Pieces.
How do you even know this?
That's what I was going to say. Why do you know that, Dean?
How do you know it?
I had a conversation. Remember Pepsi 7? Chris Lauer, he used to work here at RotoGrinders. He's a Canadian. And somehow it came up in a conversation. We argued about this for 10 minutes. And like, what are you talking about? We had this whole like, what do you mean? It's a Reese's my entire life. We forgot we're in different countries and like, different things, different countries. And yeah, if you go to like Canada, it's Reese. There's no ownership. It's anybody's. Whoever purchases it, it's their Reese's Pieces.
They're Reese Pieces. Man,
yeah, I don't know why. It just you mentioned it and it came up. That's what pops up.
We got to talk to TJ about that. I need to confirm this with our current Canadian friend TJ.
Yeah, he can confirm, and so could like the interwebs. You got the Bing, right, Roth?
Yeah, that's true. We can do a little googling, but I trust you. That's wild, though.
All right, there's some questions already getting loaded up in chat. Hey, Keith, I got a question for you. You got Shea or Booker on Fanduel. Who do you prefer amongst those two?
I think it's Booker now with Giddy in.
I think it's Booker also.
Give me myself and Bobby. We're going to step aside in a second. I'm just curious. Give me your favorite value play. Not everybody at once. Andre, Keith, your favorite value play in the slate, and who do you love? Like 5K and under.
Love is a strong word.
Who are you willing to play?
I'm still playing some Jalen Williams. I think. I think he's still going to get mid-20s minutes. We saw him play really well off the bench, so hopefully that ownership comes down now because people are scared of it. But I think he's still in play.
Like Yuta Watanabe, are you considering guys like Edmund Sumner? It's wild, right? There's just nothing to play, Keith.
It's brutal, yeah.
Yeah, I can't play those guys. Sorry. I'm gonna probably go with McDaniels. I think McDaniels is a good play under 5K for getting 30 minutes a night. He has the upside to have a really good game in that matchup against a weak front line right now in Phoenix.
By the way, Joe Harris officially starting. Kind of surprising there was no news, but he played in the back-to-back, played 20 minutes last night. Kyrie, Harris, O'Neal, Durant, Claxton. Starting lineup for Brooklyn. Bobby, you got anything else to the boys before you step aside and make way for crunch time?
No, that's it.
All right. Appreciate y'all watching the first portion here of the RotoGrinders show. Crunch time starring Kevin Roth. You got Keith. You got Andre, sponsored by Fanduel. Roth, take it over.
Appreciate it, Dino. Welcome to it. It is indeed crunch time. And yes, it is sponsored by Fanduel. Make sure you're signing up for the Fanduel Sportsbook or for legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. You bet $5, you get a free 3-month pass to NBA League Pass, regardless of if your bet wins or loses. So good promotions going on there at FanDuel. And they're the reason we've got this show on for free. So go ahead, hit us with that thumbs up, that like button on the YouTube. Joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. One, it is Mr. Keith Eyster, a.k.a. the Iceman. What's up, Ice?
Not too much. A little four-game slate here. And like all of the news that was lingering today has come in, and everybody that was questionable is in. So it is leaving us with a very difficult slate. So mad at Andy Means for leaving us in this situation on a tough slate here. There are some very uncomfortable plays we're going to have to recommend, but that's just kind of the nature, having only 4 games and just no good value out there hardly at all.
Yeah, Means is no fool. He knew what he was doing here. Ice, do you feel comfortable going over cash plays and kind of putting on the Meansy hat? Because I know Dre is like a tournament specialist.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. I can do that.
Okay, excellent. We also do have the aforementioned Dre. What's happening, bud?
Not much. Just hanging in there. Ready to give out some plays for the people to win. I'm running one lineup tonight, so y'all can beat me tonight. But other than normally, if I'm running a lot, I'll got to become the second place.
Okay, all right. Look, I feel like that's uncommon for you to just run one lineup, right? Usually you're like putting in the shitload, right?
Yeah, I'm normally doing 150, but
Yeah.
since I'm getting married, I gotta cut back. Gotta ease it up. Happy wife, happy life. After the
Okay, interesting. I didn't realize this was a marriage decision, but okay, cool. You eventually just like slow down for a little bit, and then you can just go right back into it in like a few months. Hey, let's talk about this slate. And Ice, if you don't mind, kind of giving us a general breakdown, that would be lovely.
Yeah, so I talked about it a little bit, like 4 games. So we have limited plays already, and then there's pretty much a bunch of healthy teams playing. Like Jalen Suggs was questionable for the Magic. He's in. Josh Giddy was actually listed as unexpected to play, almost doubtful, and now he is in. Who am I missing here? A couple other guys. Chicago had a bunch of questionable guys. Ayo Dosunmu was questionable. Zach LaVine was questionable. Both of them are in. So just no value really at all. Lacking in the studs too. So, I mean, we do still have the Brooklyn guys, Phoenix, and then Minnesota, whatever you want to do with that situation. It's a really tough situation to figure out in general early on in the season here. So just kind of like I was saying, that there's some uncomfortable plays. If you want to get up to Kyrie and KD, you're going to have to play guys like Royce O'Neal or Max Strus or Caleb Martin. Like it's just an uncomfortable build here today. So some tough decisions ahead of us.
Okay, well, let's get to that uncomfortable build. We'll kick it off with a little FanDuel talk, if you don't mind. And Ice, just kind of walk us through position by position what you think. You can talk cash, but if you have some GPP takes, feel free to fire those off as well.
All right, sounds good. So we'll start with FanDuel point guard here. Just Kyrie Irving seems like a guy you want to spend up for. So FanDuel, it's a little bit looser pricing. It's not as difficult to get the studs in. I think you can get up to both Kyrie and KD for cash. So Kyrie would certainly be in there. And then Chris Paul is underpriced. No DeAndre Ayton. He's 7,400. He's not shooting the ball a ton, but he's still racking up a ton of assists. Totally fine with him at 7,400. If you needed to save a little bit, Kyle Lowry also at 6,500. Tough matchup there against Golden State, but he's in play because of that price as well.
Hey,
Jalen Suggs.
Quick question on Chris Paul. Do you think Ayton being out is a boost to him or a negative? Because he gets a lot of assists through him, but they're not the same position, obviously.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty much a wash. Like he does get more assists with Ayton on the floor, but he shoots a little bit more without Ayton too. So pretty much the same deal for Chris Paul. I would give a slight bump to Devin Booker. I think Booker is a better play without Ayton. He gets a little bit more usage without him. Interesting.
Okay, sorry, I cut you off there.
Nope, all good. I was just going to mention Suggs was in play, but he doesn't sound like he's going to start. So I would not consider Jalen Suggs even at 5K.
Okay, very good. Shooting guard.
Or
there's more. There's more.
Nope, that's it for point guard. Shooting guards here. Max Strus is 4,700. He's been shooting the ball, getting a bunch of usage off the bench. So he's just kind of one of those value plays that you can look at to make work. Caleb Martin is probably a little bit safer because he's in the starting lineup, but just a lower usage player. Either of those Heat guys I would be fine with. I think you're trying to save some money here at shooting guard. Mikal Bridges is another guy I'd be looking at. Again, without Ayton, there's a little more usage to go around. He's 6,100. Tougher matchup against Minnesota with Gobert there, but he's in play for sure.
Okay,
moving on to onto some small forward here. Royce O'Neal, I mentioned already, 4,800, like a very low usage guy, but he's just, I don't know, a guy that's going to see the floor, and we're wanting to get up to KD here. So definitely in play. Cameron Johnson is another guy, same price tag. Kind of just the similar play to Royce O'Neal, lower usage, but he's going to be out there on the floor. So definitely in play. Kevin Durant, I kind of glossed over him. Durant is obviously the priority here. 10-4, best stud on the slate. Good matchup against Chicago. So Kevin Durant, definitely make sure he's in your lineup. Moving on to some power forwards here. Wendell Carter, I think, is in a really good spot against OKC here. He's only 6,400. Not a ton of big bodies here in OKC. They play small a lot, so Carter should be set up pretty well. Draymond Green, I think you can look at it for the other spot, 5,700. Just a lot of mid-range guys here. The other guy, if you really want Pokusevski, he's 4,400. I think you definitely need him confirmed starting, and I would still be concerned about those minutes. Oklahoma City could do some really weird things with their rotation, so very difficult. I do like Bam Adebayo. I do not have the money to get up to him over here on FanDuel because I'm getting both Kyrie and KD. He's definitely in play for DraftKings when we get over there. And then at center, I think you can save some money here. Bismack Biyombo is filling in for DeAndre Ayton at just $5K. He would be the guy I'm using. If you have a little extra money, you can get up to Nicholas Claxton. He's been playing a bunch of minutes here for Brooklyn. We've got Ben Simmons out again. So he should be secure for at least 28 to 30 minutes here. Jock Landale, probably more of a tournament play, but in play for sure. Like he's a big per minute guy. But I'm going with Biyombo here, Claxton, if you got a little extra money.
Okay, I've got a quick tournament question for you, and then I want to get Dre's takes as well. But it sounded like in cash, you want to pay up for the net studs, right? You want a Kyrie and KD.
Yep.
So
on FanDuel.
In tournaments, are you playing both of them? Are you running it back? Do you think it's smart to just pick one of them in tournaments? Like, what's your game plan there?
I think I would not pay up for both of them on this slate just because of the lack of value. I think you just hope that one of them has a ceiling and one of them just kind of puts up their 5X or whatever. You get the guy that goes 7X at his big salary. Maybe you could play Joe Harris as a little interesting. Minutes are limited. Claxton is a guy you could include in your stacks, but I wouldn't do both Brooklyn studs for tournaments.
Okay. Okay, very good. That's I was curious about that. All right, Dre, let's get your takes here on some tournaments and just talk to me. FanDuel, you can go through a position by position or just give me your overall thoughts.
Yeah, FanDuel, just looking at it right now is very interesting. Some low plays. Obviously, you got Shot is going to be low owned. I think he's a good option in tournament places. Since he's going to get lost in the shuffle here. Steph Curry, another guy we don't want to forget about here. Like this guy is pretty much put up 30 points in every single game, real life points in every single game. I think besides the one game so far this season. And he is a good matchup against the Miami Heat, who have been struggling. Playing against guards this year so far. So I think Steph Curry's an option that you have to consider in tournaments today. I like Cat a lot today. Both those bigs down low, Cat and Gobert, I think they're both fine. I'll make a rule where tonight might be the exception, but I personally will make a rule of not playing Cat and Gobert together. I think Devin Booker probably is a must play at this point just because they're going to need the offensive scoring from somewhere. So I think Booker is pretty much probably one of the best plays on the slate. I think one guy also that is getting overlooked, I think, is Paolo Banchero. I know his price is 8.5K, but he's just been balling since he's been in the NBA. I know his last game wasn't the best game against Dallas, but Dallas is a good defensive team. Especially headed by Jason Kidd, but I think that he's squarely back in play just because he gets a match against OKC, and we can see him put up a 50 spot here, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did that all. Bam Adebayo, I think it's a fantastic play as well. Josh Giddy, if he's not going to be on a minutes limit, at 7.3K, so it's definitely a good play. I think one way also to get different, because I know everyone's going to try to go with some of these value plays, is to go like a mid-range build. Try to see if you can have everyone be somewhat balanced, have to dip a little bit in pricing a little bit, but not in too crazy. And I think you can still find a way to get some advantages when it comes to ownership as well. Kyle Lowry to me is also one of my favorite plays at point guard. I think he is good in the spot against the Miami Heat. Going against Golden State as well. And then Jaden McDaniels, as I mentioned before, one of my favorite plays here. Comes in 30 minutes. He's at 5.1K on Minnesota, coming at like 2% ownership. I think he's a fantastic play as well. Ross is also going to be sneaky and forgotten about too, just because Jalen Suggs is back. I would definitely consider Ross in tournaments if you're running a lot of lineups, and definitely separate those two for sure.
Okay, good stuff. Anything else you want to add here? Or should we kick it over to DK?
We can go over to DK.
Okay, let's do it. Ice, let's kind of walk through the DK build here, and I think, just for the hell of it, I might throw a lineup in as I kind of follow along.
All right, so yeah, DK is a little bit tighter pricing. I think the main difference here is Jalen Williams is 3,900. It's like we're guessing at the minutes at this point. He made his he returned after missing a couple of games on the season. He played 26 minutes off the bench, but Josh Giddy was out. So I think we could have seen a bump in those minutes slightly from his last game if Giddy were to remain out. But now with Giddy back in there, it's very concerning that he may not even get the 26 minutes that he saw in the last game. We currently have him projected for 24 minutes, and he's still showing up as one of the top values. It's just a slate where there isn't a ton of value. So I'm playing Jalen Williams. Definitely know that there is a little bit of risk there, but that price tag at 3,900 is hard to beat. Assuming he's getting at least 22 minutes here, I think he can still be okay even at those minutes.
Okay, keep rolling.
All right, so let's just go over some point guards then here. Kyrie Irving, again, would love to get to him. Not sure that I can do that over here on DraftKings. Saving some money with somebody like Kyle Lowry is my preferred option. Chris Paul is also cheap as well over here, 7,700. Didn't quite have the funds to get up to him either, so Kyle Lowry is the guy that I would go with. Devin Booker is a fantastic play as well at 9K if you do want to spend up here. Some shooting guards. So Royce O'Neal, one of the value plays over on Fanduel, very much in play here on DraftKings as well. Just very secure minutes. One of the safer value plays on the slate, I would say. Talked about Jalen Williams. He has shooting guard, small forward eligibility. I think he's definitely in one of those spots for you. Zach LaVine is 7,500 if you've got some money to spend, but I'm probably looking to pay down here. Moving on to some forwards, small forward here. It's KD again. Just should have a phenomenal role without Ben Simmons. Maybe a few more rebounds, a few more assists for him. Just not as many bodies. Should be a lock for upper 30s minutes. Just a really good matchup against Chicago. Very safe environment for KD, so he would be a priority for me. Lou Dort is another value play here we can look to, 5,600. Should be locked. One of the few Thunder I think you can feel safe will play over 30 minutes. Him and SGA are really the only we can say that about, I think. So Dort very much in play. Power forwards, Poku is popping a little bit because he's only 4,200. I'm very uncomfortable with those minutes. I would try to avoid playing him in cash if I could, but there's not enough value where you can comfortably say you do not need him. So if you're trying to pay up for Durant, Poku is in the conversation for sure. If you've got a little extra money, Draymond at 5,700, very much in play. Max Strus, 5,100, a very shooting dependent guy, but has seen good usage off the bench. The center position, I think, is where we have some excellent as well. Nikola Vucevic for Chicago in a great spot here against Brooklyn. Brooklyn just has not rebounded very well this season. Ben Simmons is out. They don't have really a true center, and Vucevic should be able to do pretty much whatever he wants here today. 7,800, great price for him. And then Bam Adebayo is also underpriced, 7,400. Matchup against Golden State, who also they're going to play some Looney, but they'll also play some Draymond at the 5. Just a really good spot for Bam here against Golden State.
Okay, quick question on Bol. Can I play him, or was he only getting 30 minutes because of an injury thing that no longer exists?
Yeah, Jalen Suggs is back, so that is I think he's in play for tournaments on this slate especially. But but it very risky. Not sure on the minutes. I mean, he might only get 14 to 16 minutes instead of the 28. But I mean, he's going to play some, and he's a huge per minute guy. He's absolutely in play on this slate.
Okay, fair enough. All right, anything else you want to add before we kick it over to Dre?
Nope, I think that does it.
Okay, Dre, what is different on DK from FanDuel, or is it kind of the same guys that you like?
Kind of like the same guys. I would probably definitely try to make sure I want to lock in. Like Patrick Williams. I think if he's getting the minutes, like that's one thing I've been concerned with at 3.5K. I know he's like one of the top guys on the slate, but if he is getting a lot of minutes, I think he's a great play today. Vucevic is just too cheap on DK, so I think he has to be played at 7.8K. But Bochero as well, as I mentioned before, 7.9. I think it's like pretty much almost the same stuff. But I would definitely like even on this slate, like I would get to a lot of these Phoenix guys. I just was doing a little bit more some research and digging in a little bit, but I know the usage definitely goes up a lot for guys like Bridges, Cam Johnson, Booker. They're gonna have to be used more offensively. So pivoting away from obviously Kyrie's a great play, so is Kevin Durant. But pivoting away from guys like those, I think in tournaments is a good idea, and getting like guys like Devin Booker, and getting like well over the field on him. Like I said, I think he's a lock in my opinion. And even playing him with like a Bridges or Cam Johnson, I think it's a way to go as well, because we know Chris Paul's not gonna score the ball that often. Granted, he can, but not often he does that as well. I like Jimmy Butler at 8.4K. I think he's a fantastic play going against the Warriors here. Thinking someone that we definitely can get a little bit of exposure to. And like I mentioned before, Steph Curry, single-digit ownership, 9% on DK as well. So I think he's someone we could definitely look at and get well over the field on for sure. But that's really it. Everyone else is going to be the same as I mentioned before on the other site, and go from there.
Okay, very good. Let's take some QQs, gents. Let's see, scrolling up here. I'm going to start, of course, in the RG Discord with those questions, and then if you're asking a question on YouTube, once I catch up in RG Discord, I'll jump on over to the YouTube as well. But just feel free to join us in the RG Discord. We'll go to Rhino, Jalen Williams. And if this works for y'all, if it's a cash question, Ice, I'm coming to you. Tournaments, I'm coming to you, Dre.
Okay, that works.
Okay. All right. Is Jalen Williams a cash play, Ice, at shooting guard on FanDuel?
Oh, what is his FanDuel? So the pricing is a lot looser on FanDuel. I don't think you need to go down there. That's why I didn't mention him. I'm just looking up his price here real quick. 4,200. I don't think I would risk it. I'd feel much better with somebody like Cody Martin for just 300 more. Like Cody Martin's going to start and play the minutes. We have no idea how many Jalen Williams is playing.
Okay, fair enough. Chinatown says, just a general kind of cash question here. How many guys in Chicago will be in the rotation with Kobe White out? And are 4 Bulls too many in cash on DK?
4 Bulls in cash. Yeah, not something I considered. Vucevic is a lock for me. I understand going down to Patrick Williams because of the lack of value. Man, Levine is fine.
Jalen Williams is starting.
Jalen Williams is starting?
Yeah.
Oh, that changes everything. He's a lock.
Okay, talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, the minutes were the only concern there. He's not going to see the same usage that he saw off the bench last game, but I think we can feel a lot better about the minutes. It's still Oklahoma City, and like he could start the first half and they could completely change the rotation in the second half. So there's still plenty of risk here. But just him getting the start and we're starved for value. So I feel very comfortable with him in DK cash for sure. I think he can enter the FanDuel cash conversation now even. Okay, very good. Let's see what else we've got here. FanDuel cash question. This is a 3v3 from Aside. Do you want Durant, Royce, and Claxton, or Wagner, Butler, Draymond? First one.
Okay. NBA DFS is FanDuel cash, Ice, Claxton, and Cam Johnson, or Biyombo and D Green?
I would go the second one there.
Very good. FanDuel GPP question for you, Dre. Any interest in SGA? I feel like you said yes. He was like the first name, I think. Or
I think he's an excellent tournament play because he's going to go underlook, but not the top like TPP play. But yeah, I think he is a good play.
okay, very good. FanDuel Cash Ice, is Levine an okay play?
Levine's fine.
Achilles says DK Cash. I'm getting a lot of Paw, P-A-W. I have no idea who that is.
Chris Paul?
I don't know. P-A-W. Anyways, Caruso, etc. They're popping, and I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, Caruso as a value play, he's just another like Cody Martin or Caleb Martin. Like Royce O'Neal, none of these are big usage guys. There's no great value play. I think Jalen Williams now passed all of those guys by a lot.
Okay. Paul was Patrick Williams, by the way. I'm not sure we were expected to know that for what it's worth.
Yeah, no,
Seems like a stretch, but all right, let's see. DK Cash here. Ice, you want SGA and Bam or KD and WCJ?
I would go the second one there. Both good.
FanDuel, this is a GPP question for you, Dre. Cam Johnson over Royce in GPPs. He gets a minor bump with 8 now.
Yes, I like that a lot. I think that's a good play. He's going to get he's starting 2, so he's going to get as many minutes as he can handle.
Very good. DK Cash, last piece at center, Draymond or Claxton, Ice?
I would go Draymond.
Lil Ute says, what are your thoughts on Maxey? We'll call this a GPP question, Dre.
Maxey's
not playing.
Yeah,
well, that makes it, our thoughts are don't play him.
Yeah, don't play him. Don't bet on him. Don't play him.
Is there another Maxey that?
This not another Max. Oh yeah, unless you mean Max Strus. He's been back in the rotation more. If you're talking about Max Strus, he's been back in the rotation and been playing the minutes, but I personally don't like him. I'm not playing him. I see the upside. He plays defense and he can shoot the ball, but I'm not going with the streaky guy like that. Not for that price.
Okay, very good. Keelan says, Paul or Giddy, it's giving me a headache.
I don't trust Giddy to play the minutes here today. I think he could be very limited, so it'd be Chris Paul pretty easily for me.
Okay, very good. This is a DK GPP question from Hedge Fantasy. He says, any interest in Dragic as a cheap punt on a DK GPP, or do you like somebody else that's cheap?
I don't mind Dragic as a deep tournament play for around like 150, but I would probably was it DK?
Yes, it was.
Let me look at Dragic. Oh, 3.3. Yeah, he's too cheap. He's going to play the minutes. I don't mind him. He's an excellent pivot off everyone else, but Jalen Williams is still a good value. Still, just play him.
Yeah. Okay. Max coverage says Lowry or Bridges in the util is a DK GPP question. So Lowry or Bridges, I think you like them both.
I love them both. Like in my FanDuel lineup, I have both of them right now. I'm gonna have to say DK. So I'm gonna have to say Bridges. I think Bridges is just better, just because the opportunity is gonna be better for him.
Okay. Question from me. I am going with the Phoenix guys. I'm running like a Phoenix stack and running it back with Cat. Is that what everyone's doing to try to be clever because there's, a guy out in Phoenix?
I don't think so.
I mean, on a 4-game slate, you're always going to be dealing with some ownership. I don't think it's super popular. People are scared of Minnesota. Like it's hard to figure out who's going to have the monster game in there. So right. I think taking shots on those Minnesotas is great today.
Okay, and with 8 now, shouldn't there be a big man on Phoenix that slides up? Like,
yep. Biombo much in play. I think you play Jock Landale as well, a big per minute guy who coming off the bench. So both of them in play.
Okay, very good. Thank you. DK single entry GPP. If you're fading KD and Kyrie, do Booker Cat have the upside to match them? That's what I'm doing. I also have Chris Paul, but do they?
Easy. Booker scored 70 points in one game. He alone could do it. So, yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's true. All right. The FanDuel single entry here, Dre. Bol or Clackety Claxton?
Claxton.
Very good. Jay Sams, on a slate like this, isn't someone like Giddy viable in GPPs for FanDuel? We didn't get any word of a minutes limit. So what if he plays like 29 or 30 minutes?
I don't mind that at all. I think it's a good tournament play.
Very good. We've got
like you're not getting a discount on him though, so you kind of need him to play those minutes to pay off
Yeah.
the price. But on the short slate, it's viable. Yep.
okay. Shout out to Edge Fantasy, who says, if you haven't liked this video yet, what are you waiting for? It's free as long as we do. You're right. So hit that thumbs up as long as you keep liking it. We're going to keep trying to bring it to you for free. Al Langston says, Joe Harris or J.A. Williams?
Jalen Williams.
Anyway, Jalen Williams. Is that the guy who we said is starting and just play him?
Yep.
Oh.
Yes, Jalen Williams is the guy who's starting and play him. Like he's has much higher ceiling than Joe Harris, and I feel good about the minutes now.
Very good. Okay. Keelan Brown says SGA or Booker on FanDuel. Dre, SGA or Booker on FanDuel?
Goodness gracious, sorry. SGA or Booker. Crap, I got mad money left on the table. Give me Booker. Booker.
All right. Dre trying to spend that last dollar. We
Always
hit the
takes it
lock.
right down to the wire.
I know, always. He's always analyzing last second. I feel good about my team. Like, I feel like I've got a squad here with the Phoenix going like heavy Phoenix. I've got 3 guys and then running it back. Like, I feel like that has slate winning potential, right?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, 2 really good teams. Like we could see them like really push it in this game. So I like it a lot.
Very good. Okay. Fingers crossed on that one. Let's see. Sammy McLeod says, Roth, it's been a while. How are you? I'm good. If you have a sister who is also named McLeod, I will marry her and take her name. Don't tell my wife. That name is just too cool, man. Let's see. Hey, we caught up on all the QQs. You guys get any candy, or if you're in a weird spot in your lives where there's no candy happening? Ice?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no candy for me.
It's weird. Dre?
So my fiance is like, she loves this trick or treating thing. So like I've been used to, because I used to do it a lot when I was a kid. So she always has candy in this house, and it's just hard to just not eat it. So I've just been taking it all from the kids pretty much.
I think like my daughter definitely got some good candy, but I don't know where it went. I think like my wife hid it from me, so I need to do some. Oh, look at that! What is that?
I got candy corn for right now, but like I had Reese's upstairs. I had a whole bunch of other stuff, so it's hard.
All right, I got to get into the Reese's. By the way, Sam McLeod says I have 2 single sisters. I'm plotting. Hopefully my wife didn't hear that. We are going to get on out of here. So please, if you didn't hit that thumbs up button, please do. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. For Dre and for Ice and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. We will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.